Hi, Danny. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Davis. I see you found a new one in Orlando.
Yeah, this is one I wanted to run by you. It's actually not that bad looking, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure if it's worth pursuing or not. This is part of a local chain here. I went into one of their other locations about 2 weeks ago. It looked even actually nicer, so I just went ahead and forwent even doing anything about it. This one wasn't quite as nice, so I mean, you can look at the pictures there and whatnot, but only 3 out of 33 washers down. They seem to do a pretty good job of maintaining their locations. So I thought I'd run it by you. I've got the number and everything, but I don't know if it's worth giving it a shot or not.
Well, it's worth a call. Here we are together.
Okay.
Uh, the first thing I see is how can this be a chain? They pay employees. They've got, yeah, the store is neat. They've got a wide open sales center and wash dry fold in the front, which is just a huge mistake. They're they're
Mm-hmm.
they're doing a lot wrong, and it's hard not to
Mm-hmm.
nitpick on something. But let's call the guy up
Okay.
and see what's going on. Why not? We'll put a pin in it for
Okay.
later, perhaps. Stand by.
Sounds good. Cool.
Hello?
Yeah, hey, looking for Sharif.
Yeah, speaking.
Sharif, my name is Danny. I'm looking at some commercial space over here in Orlando. I might be interested in leasing it from you long term.
Which space were you looking at? What kind of
Sure.
use do you have?
This
Tell me about
is
you. Okay.
a little
The
coin
North Cape one.
laundromat over here.
Yep.
That's actually what I'm interested in. I do coin laundries. I've been doing it 20 years plus. My partner and I, we go out and we scout these existing stores. We reach out to the realtor, the landlord, whomever is in charge of that lease. I'm looking to lease the space if and when the time comes. And I want to be honest, this isn't a horrible laundromat. Most of the stores that we do non-hostile takeovers are pretty bad. But I didn't want to leave this unturned,
Mm-hmm.
introduce myself to Sharif and let you know what we do.
Yeah.
It's a business that's really all about equipment, right? So if the business
Correct.
happens to be for sale, I really don't care. That's not my MO. I don't buy them. I don't build them from scratch. I do this. And if they're a good tenant, and it looks like they are, maybe we talk in 6 months or 6 days or 6 years. I sign a lease, sometimes contingent on the exit of the current tenant, and then I renew it. I put new equipment in, but I don't have to pay for the infrastructure, if that makes sense. This is what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So the thing about the laundromat that's already in the plaza is they have a lease that goes until 2029, end of January.
Nice.
I don't think the landlord would be uh I don't think the landlord or the laundromat people would be interested in having competition come in. It sounds like you might
No, no,
be
no, no, no,
better than what
no,
they're offering.
no. I'm not. Competition would be putting a laundromat next door. I want to make sure you understand. I'm not looking to do that. I'm interested in
Oh,
this exact space. I'm not looking for empty space. I'm looking to take over existing laundromats that have failed, and they haven't. I hope they come to you in February and sign another 10 years and they renew the equipment themselves. Look, you and I are far removed from this because we don't go to laundromats on the weekend, right? It's not
correct.
a
Yep.
business that we frequent. So therefore, we're a little bit removed from the realities of it. And, trust me, I get that. But I'm making these connections with folks like you to be certain that you understand what we do, how we do it, and I'll send you an email at the end of the day. You're a real estate agent. You don't own this building, right?
No, yeah, I represent the landlord.
Perfect. So maybe Sharif comes across another strip mall or a new landlord hires you on, and they've got this disgusting, horrific, filthy laundromat with old equipment and no goodwill. You say, geez, I remember that guy, Danny. Find my email, call me. This is my cell phone number, the only number you need. And we'll talk. What I do at that point, we try to beat you up on the rent. We make really good deals on the lease. I'm not a flipper. I don't
Mm-hmm.
sell my stores. We are your guarantors. And then I have another successful store under my wing, if that makes sense. There's just a method
Yeah,
of
that does
doing
make
it.
sense.
I bought my first store 20
Okay.
plus years ago, dude, and I realized I wasted the money. I never should have purchased that location. It was someone selling a
Oh, really?
failure. I mean, who sells the goose that lays the golden egg? Who would sell a successful
Correct.
cash business? No one. So
Yeah, absolutely.
they're all selling fucking failures, and I don't want to buy a failure.
Mm-hmm. No, of course not.
So,
Yeah. All right.
what's your email
That's it's
address?
actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
It's gonna be S.
I got it the first time through. Sharif, I consider you good contact and a good connection. How many
Yeah,
centers do
same
you
to
help
you.
work on?
We work on. I think I'm on 3 or 4 different ones, but most of them are offices. So
Yeah,
there's
office space.
only this retail space for me, but I definitely, I know some people who have retail plazas and stuff like that. So I can make a couple phone calls, see what happens, see if
Yeah,
maybe there's something
I'm
we can
not
do for
looking to
you.
hire
But
you on. We do it kind of backwards because we've physically scouted this location. We walk through it. We usually surreptitiously take a few photos, and they're open to the public. What the hell? I see a lot of
yeah,
room for improvement in just about every store. I could go on ad nauseum. This store, uh, they can't be 24/7 because they've got this wide open service area where they probably darn people's socks. Darn you.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, I do things a little differently so that my stores are fairly bulletproof. I really rely on the equipment, and we do use contract attendants. But again, I could go on and bore you to tears. What is this, your cell phone or your office number?
yeah. This is my cell phone number.
Good, and this is mine. So I'll send you an email. I'll CC my
Perfect.
partner
Yeah,
Brian.
I got it.
Yeah, let us know. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait,
Thanks, bud.
so just before
Yeah.
we hang up, what you want me to find out if the current owners of the laundromat that's in Northgate Plaza are willing to sell it?
Incorrect. I'm glad you asked.
Okay, yeah. So I want to confirm. Yeah.
I could buy laundromats all day, every day. So that
Mm-hmm.
price, what is it? 100,000? It's normally 300,000, to be honest. So they want to sell their laundromat. We just talked about this. What are they selling? A
The
business
service to
who's,
clean your clothing, right?
well, no, they're selling nothing. They're selling unicorn farts. They're selling a failed business because they bought it. All right. I want you to
Oh,
understand
okay,
this.
okay, okay,
Look,
okay, okay,
can you make a
okay.
better cheeseburger than McDonald's?
Hell no.
Say, let's take a minute and really think about this. Can you make a better cheeseburger than McDonald's? I hope so.
I mean,
Bro, come
you
on.
think so?
That's dog
Okay.
food, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I give you some fresh hamburger meat. You don't have to be a genius to lump it into a thing and put it in a pan and throw some good
No,
cheese
of
on
course
it.
not.
It's going to be better than
Yeah, yeah.
McDonald's. McDonald's sells
Okay, I see
billions.
what you mean.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yes.
just trying to be real with you. McDonald's yet sells, can you sell billions of those burgers? Yeah, it's going to take some time, some energy, some effort.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard.
In reality, what's McDonald's in the business of doing? Real estate. They're a real estate company.
Yeah.
Every time you see a McDonald's, whether it's on the side of the road in Fargo, North Dakota, or on Fifth Avenue in New York, they own the dirt. That's
Yep.
what Ray Kroc was all about. He's a real estate guy. So, that being said, I think McDonald's up there with the Vatican, the amount of land that they own. I'm in the
Yeah.
business of running
So.
successful laundromats, and the preponderance of them are in rented space. So I walk in this store. I'm not interested in talking to the operator about buying their business. It might be for sale, but that has nothing to do with my success. I talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
Sharif, because you have the ear of the landlord, And when the time comes, again, it might be tomorrow, next week, or in 2029, like you said, they let the equipment
Yeah.
continue to falter. They let the equipment continue to go downhill. And they say, you know what? We're going to try to sell this place, maybe 6 months or a year of that potential sale. No one buys. And
Hmm.
you call me back and say, hey, remember me? Sure, I do. Of course I do. I take notes on these calls. And now we're talking lease terms. Then I renew the equipment, but I'm not buying the business rights and I'm not paying for infrastructure. That's all. Good God, in Orlando,
Okay.
right? There's two things in every rented space, right? There's F&E, furnishings and equipment, and infrastructure. What's the infrastructure in a
Hmm.
dollar store? Nothing. I mean, the overhead lights and the ADA compliant restroom. That dollar store can
Yep.
leave out the back door in the middle of the night and all they need is a couple U-Haul trucks. The infrastructure in a laundry is massive. Now, this is not a secret because no one ever sells a laundry based on the infrastructure. They sell it based on the equipment or the goodwill or both, which is bullshit because you look at their statements and they aren't really making money. So
Hmm.
I do everything right in the laundry, in my opinion, because I'm very opinionated, because I've been doing it a long time. And I don't buy the business, I don't build the business. I do this. Call it a free laundromat, if you will. When you see my email address, it'll make sense. That's it. And now you get
Okay.
it, right?
Yeah. Now, okay. Sounds good. All right. Perfect, man. So,
And
yeah. So I'll
I
be
know
watching out for that email address.
real estate agents will normally say, "Hey, let me do the work for you. What do you need? Oh, I want this property. Okay, let me go talk to the owner of the property and see if they'll sell it." I get all that. I can knock on doors all day long, and there are people that send out farming letters and say, "I want to buy your laundromat." Sure, they will. You knock on my door, and I'm about to get foreclosed on. You say, "I want to buy my house." Oh God, where do I sign? Right? If I love
Yeah.
my house and I've got
Exactly.
tons of equity and I have a beautiful backyard, I'm going to say, "Get stuffed," and slam the door in your face. So what I want you to do?
Hmm.
Nothing. Keep your eye, your eye peeled, and keep your nose to the ground and your hands to yourself. And if you find a laundry that needs an operator, you ring me. That's it.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks, bud.
All right.
Ciao,
Perfect, man.
ciao.
It was great to meet you.
Cheers.
I'm looking forward to hearing more from you.
Thanks. Nice guy.
Yep.
So there we go from, gee, Danny, this looks like a fairly decent location. Should we bother to call? I say, yeah, of course we should. Is
Yep.
this now? There was a pause there, if you noticed, where I clammed up and I waited. I said, here's what we do and how we do it. And I shut up. And he literally looked up the rent rolls.
Hmm.
There's no way to find that information online. There's no way to find that information by talking to the operator, unless he wants to tell you the truth. There's no way to find this information anywhere,
Hmm.
save talking to the landlord or his rep. And I get the information without asking for it. If I called up and said, hey, I just want to know how much time's remaining on their lease. Sorry, what? He was intrigued. This is one of those
Hmm.
kids that really, and I call him a kid. I don't know. He's probably 30, but he's very interested. And then there's that moment. He's like, well, all right, so you want me to go talk to the operator? Good God, no. No, please no. And then that gives me that. I went through all of this twice, but now dude, everybody is so rubber stamp, right? Square peg, round hole. They think in the same direction. They move in the same direction. They do the same thing. He actually said, I don't know if this landlord would allow competition. He was still thinking halfway through the call that I was interested in putting a
Yep.
laundromat next door to the laundromat. Like, oh,
Hmm.
dude, get the shit out of your ears. Nice kid, but come on.
Hmm.
I can't tell when someone is completely off kilter until they go ahead and ask that same question again. Gee
Hmm.
whiz. Lord. All right, we have another chance for glory here. And this is a number that we have been calling many, many times. Is this the same contact number?
Yeah, same
Okay.
contact number.
All
I
right.
called it a few weeks ago just to see if he'd still pick up. It's still good. He picked up, so we're
All
just
right.
gonna try to get him.
We got to get lucky, is what we have to do. I'm
Hmm.
dialing the number. Here we go. Stand by.
Yep.
Now's where you subscribe, you louts. Now's your chance. Ask questions in the chat.
Hi, you have reached Vikas Agarwal at SRV.
Mr. That's my wireless number. To be clear, I'm not a salesman, not even a realtor, sir. I'm looking to lease some space from you here in Florida. Thank you. Asshole. All right, man. I'm going to send, as is always the case, our buddy an email. Make sure you're Johnny on the spot with those email, taking the notes, because I was waiting for you to write out his email. Don't think that when I'm in the document that we're going to be stepping on each other's toes. Just write it down. I'm pretty sure I got it right.
Okay, cool.
Find
Okay,
some
yeah,
more
no problem.
stores. If
All right, sounds good.
Mr. Agarwal calls me, I'll let you know.
Excellent. Thank you, Danny.
Ciao, buddy. All right, now on to you, louts. Jump into the chat. Ask me some questions. I'm happy to chat with you. I can talk to myself. This laundromat thing has recently become an internet phenomenon, right? The odd dichotomy with laundries is that here it is, this weird little business that people that live in the middle class never even think about. Forget about upper class, middle class. They don't think about it. In parts of Europe, they laugh. Who the hell doesn't have a washer machine in their home? But here, it's a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And in most of the world, even some middle-class folks regularly attend laundromats. They go in and they shove their comforters, their carpets, the dog beds and blankets, the things they don't want to mess up their home washer with. But that's a small amount. When I was collecting coin in my stores, I always have the person that kind of looks upper class. They're wearing a scarf, and they'd see me collecting coin, and they'd have to say, they felt compelled to tell me that they were not the type of person that goes to a laundromat. Oh, I'm just here because my dryer broke. Okay, lady. Good for you. I mean, common. Those of you that own stores know that. It's odd. The other thing that people would say is, great business, isn't it? Wow, this is a good business. Oh, gee whiz, I want to get in this business. Back to popping balloons on their phone. And true enough, I bought my first store. Literally 2-3 days in, I'm thinking, well, I've got to get out of this and sell it to the next son of a bitch, the next sucker, the next person that doesn't know what they're doing, or I'm going to have to spend a ton of money on the retool. That mistake was not in buying the laundromat. The mistake was not in getting into the business, I should say. It was in buying the laundromat. That was the mistake. You learn. You're listening to a guy who knows. And we're also skeptical these days. Those that know me know that I'm not on YouTube for clicks. No, thank you. I built a consultancy because rather than exit the industry and sail away and leave everyone hanging, I decided I'll consult. I did that in the private investigation industry, and here I am doing it now. If I wanted clicks, I would have a fancy cavalcade Dancing girls. Perfectly positioned camera. But instead, you might find yourself watching an hour and a half long live. My live videos are great for that. And culling a few tidbits of information that change your mind. And that's why I'm here. Jump in and ask questions, guys. Top chat. Mark says, Louts, yes, you knew that that is who you is. And I mean that affectionately. Wade from Canada says, are you glad to be back home? It is nice to be home. I also enjoy travel. Shelley and I went to New York, visited with no less than 3 operators. Those videos will be dropping soon. Stephen is in Texas. He says, my sister and I have been through the course a few times now, currently scouting targets, and we'll be hiring you soon. Can't wait to start a family laundromat empire. I love that. Mr. Davis, do this. Don't hire me soon. Do it today. Just click the little consultation button inside of the course. I think it's on one of the last course videos. I don't shove it down your throat. You might notice that it and you can tell me, it's some people don't see it. Because again, sounds crazy. I don't do this for money. Sure, I charge you for what I do. Of course I do. Who else would say, pay this amount for a never-ending consultation? You get my one and only cell phone number. Dozens of you that are likely on this call already have it. Wade knows how that works. Silly, but it's because I can't be bothered. I'm not going to have a group chat, a mastermind. My God, the things that these phony consultants do for your money. My point being, you said that you're scouting right now. Get my number now. If you're planning on doing it, I'm not here to sell you anything. If you're planning on doing it, do it now, because then I can help you and your sister when you're out scouting. You can text me if you have a question or something just doesn't feel right or feels perfect. So don't wait. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you think you need to have some questions or something prepped before we get on the telephone. You're ready now. I'm ready to answer questions you didn't know you had. Wade says it's true. Some people seem ashamed to go to a laundromat. I say there's nothing wrong with it. Can do a whole day's worth or family laundry in a few hours instead of an all-day chore at home. I agree. Of course. Joe Lucas says, gold. Thank you, Joe. Danny, can you tell a story of when you were operating a store and you needed a landlord to fix something, but it was a struggle to get him to do what he was actually obligated to do? That would be my first store, Scott. And if you don't own a laundromat, Scott, it sounds like this is a fear of yours. This is the monster under the bed. You're afraid this is going to happen to you. This is not going to happen to you. It didn't happen to me because, lesson learned, you're not going to have if a landlord isn't going to fix something, that's because it's not in writing, and I don't blame him. How can you blame him? The landlord is responsible for the roof and the walls, not even the glass. Did you know that? When you see a mall cop in a small strip mall, say that 3 times fast, that mall cop is there. He doesn't hate skaters or children. Children fall off their skateboard, and the skateboard flies into the glass, and the glass breaks, and that's the responsibility of the tenant. So the tenants get angry. They remove all the park benches. They want to murder the skaters because it costs them money. And they'll even hire a mall cop so they don't have to deal with the skateboarders. Goofy. People trying to fix these monsters under the bed. I never had struggles with landlords because I went into these deals knowing contractually obligated doesn't happen. And we talk about that in the course videos where I say, what does a leaky roof mean? Think about that. Inside baseball, shizzy. Jay wants to know, do you own the building? Yes, 7 strip malls. If so, what investments have you made in the infrastructure? Everything has to work. Everything goes back to Scott's query. When you go from a tenant to a landlord, what type of landlord do you want to be? What type of landlord do you want to be? If you don't invest in the infrastructure, and that's a different thing. We don't invest in F&E ever. Infrastructure, not until we sign a new lease. You might have to fix something up. I see landlords who have existing laundries, they remove all the equipment, but they're very genteel when it comes to the gas, water, electric. They leave it in place. They sweep their way out, and they make it obvious and evident that that infrastructure is still there, that the environmental impact fees have been paid. Marcus, hey, Danny, good morning. Once I close the deal on a laundromat, how will I go about changing the name to my business name? What are the steps to changing the old laundromat name to my business name? Wow, Marcus, very, very small time question. You don't need to change anything. If the sign says Fred's Laundry and it lights up and it's nice and it costs Fred 10 grand for that sign, why would you change it at all? No one cares that it's now Marcus's Laundromat. No one cares. Your LLC is what's going to pay the taxes, collect the money, go into the bank. So that's a $99 deal. Jack says, you were a PI? That makes sense, how you're so good at asking the right questions. That and knowing the ins and outs of the laundry business. Could you offer any selling tips for real estate acquisition? I don't know what you mean, selling tips. Real estate is a thing, right? I just looked it up the other day. There's 38,000 courses being sold in the US alone. Who the fuck has 38,000 things to say? I assume they're mostly real estate courses, I assume. Now, they're saying, go sit on the courthouse steps and do this, this, this. I've done it. You can do it. Zero money down real estate, or how to get an apartment complex for cheap. Here's what I know. Real estate costs money. Do I wish my grandparents and my parents had tons of land? I do. But I can't lament and complain about the fact that they didn't and don't. All I can do is buy more, as God ain't making any more of it, so that my kids and my great-grandkids can benefit. Hence, we just added 38 acres. I just saw that Central Park is 250 acres. I have 150. I'm working on the other 100, don't worry. James, is that a deep sea on your wrist? No, I just picked this up in New York City. There's a video coming out about it. This is the brand new solid gold sub. I was offered the deep sea in gold and I passed. That's another story for another day. Just seems a bit ridiculous, right? Big talk about a fat gold Rolex. This thing is like a good friend. You just go to put it on your wrist in the morning and it's ice cold and then it warms up to you. Snuggles. Very fun. Stainless does the same thing, but this just sort of feels a little warmer. Yeah, I left my name the same for my business. No signage needed to be changed. Save that money for your important things. Thank you, Wade. I can always appreciate Wade jumping on. James, that new watch smell. I mean, we walked into the Rolex AD on Fifth Avenue. The trees are lit, literally chestnuts. We did a live about it the day before. And Shelly on my arm, we had Eric there filming. Do you have anything to offer? We do. What are you looking for? It's all a game, right? Those of you that know. But the gist is you plunk down X amount of dollars plus tax. How do you justify it? If you're putting something like this on credit, you're a fool. There's no hole in your heart that will be filled by spending that kind of money on a timepiece that you shouldn't own. I like the baubles and the things because I came from nothing. My elevator conversation is not, this is who I am, and my dad drove truck and I was homeless. I like the things and the baubles. My kids don't care. If they were smart, they'd say, Dad, I want your watches when you croak. But that's the preponderance of what it is. So we've got land. Shelley's a former stockbroker, real estate agent, insurance agent. She's good to have on my hip because she's out there doing the research for the family trust. But don't forget, here's this guy who's got 50,000 followers. Who the hell is he? Maybe you're new to the channel. Self-proclaimed king of laundry. It's culminated where now I'm teaching, training, mentoring, making sure that you don't make the mistake of buying or building a laundry. That's it. That's all. Marcus says, thanks for answering my question, Danny. Great feedback. You the goat. I know what that means. Joe, DD, laundry locations are limited around my area in New Jersey. What do we do? Have a fighting chance of securing a lease in under 2 years? Joe, fearful question, if it's a question at all. Joe, a lot of people live in New Jersey and take the train, a bus, and 2 cabs in order to get to their job in the city, or vice versa. Why are you limited? You're telling New Jersey, your area in New Jersey, do you fucking think you have to walk to the laundromat? I don't know, Joe, where we're at in this process. If you haven't yet, let's get on the phone and talk about it. But would you go to Connecticut for an extra 400 grand a year and you only have to show up how often? Once you're operating it successfully with my systems, once a week to get the money. Zach, do laundromats make more money than a rental real estate property? What are you talking about? Of course, tons more. Now, how could I say that? Well, what are you talking? A rental real estate property. Do you mean an apartment complex with 10,000 units? I don't think that's what you mean. And Zach, you're probably new to the channel. Welcome. Go watch dozens of my lives. I have over 1,000 videos on here. Do laundromats make more money than a rental real estate property? Let's go a little deeper. You're going to buy a rental real estate property and hope that it makes $50,000 a month? Ain't going to happen. You buy a rental real estate property. Let's say it's a modest $300,000 home. Your mortgage is $3,000. Depending on what you put, this all depends. Are you going to be able to lease it for $4,000? Probably not. Let's say you're lucky enough to lease it for $3,300. Your cash flow is $300 measly a month. Well, that's good money for a lot of people. Great money. But really, that renter is helping you to own the property. Can you do it again and again and again? Well, how many mortgages can you get these days? Not many. Now, you really earn when you sell that property. It's going to be a decade before it has any serious equity, depending, again, are we talking Midland, Texas, New York, LA? Shelley and I were looking at brownstones in New York. I'm like, this isn't realistic. We're not here often enough. And most of the places, they don't want to allow short-term rentals. So it's out, we'll stick to Mexico properties, Scottsdale. In those 10 years, how many of those renters are going to last a year, leave early, only pay the rent for 8 months? Now where's your cash flow? 8 months out of the 12-month lease, they leave. Now 3, 6, not right. You made money, did you? Now you've got to go in. They stole your garage door opener. There's $1,000. They shit all over the floors. It's a great business if you run it as a business. Do laundromats make more? Yes. And the way that we do it here, Zach, we don't pay for the store. We don't buy the business rights, the goodwill, or the equipment. Easy peasy. We're doing this daily. Where do I get my shirts? Well, Spencer Gifts. The Chive is good. Usually when I think of something funny and I go look for it, someone's already made a t-shirt, so that's kind of cool. Jack, I was thinking about purchasing a 12 to 20 unit apartment complex with enough space to put a public laundromat on the property here in Florida. What's your opinion? Don't fucking do it, Jack. You're going to build a laundromat. Do you know what the EPA fees will get you per machine? Yeah, go look into it. By the way, that's called an OPL, an on-premises laundry. The people in the complex are going to go to a laundromat off-site. They don't like OPLs. Scott, what are the signs a location's too rough to operate 24 hours? I heard you say once, if a location in the neighborhood is too rough, operate 20, you rather pursuing it. No, I wouldn't be afraid of any. Some are, but I wouldn't. It's a laundromat. I'm not going to be that Korean grocer that puts up bulletproof glass. Criminals just come up and conk you over the head anyway. The monster under the bed, the fear. What are you afraid of? People hate their job, but they drag their ass in there every day and bitch at the water cooler about the boss and the person that has them under their thumb. But the reality is that job is easier than doing something different. And if you don't put one foot in front of the other, you're not going to end up like the people that I'm visiting who are doing this daily. I'm giving you the blueprint. You have the blueprint. Whether or not you decide to hammer nail one and build that mansion, that's on you. I got a lot of shit to do today. What I want you guys to do is go in to the video once I burn down this live and make a comment. Let's get those numbers up. Tell me what your fears are. What are you afraid of? What's stopping you from doing this? And you better be ready, because I'm going to comment back that you're wrong. You're looking at a guy 53 years old who did it. When will you start?